Before we get the review started, I feel that there's a little bit of an obligation on my end to speak here. YouTube has a clause in their advertiser partnership, whatever you want to call it, guidelines, that if somebody were to receive any form of compensation for a review, such as a product sample or advertisement revenue, they must state as such in their video. Well, here, the exact opposite happened. To sort of give you a little bit of a huge story in a short amount of time, I contacted Wicked Cool Toys earlier this year to arrange for possible product samples to be sent out. They said, sure, let's coordinate closer to the time of Series 1 release. I got back in touch with them, pretty much forgot who I was. Then they offered, oh, hey, you know what? We do actually have a plush Pikachu for you if you would be interested. So I said, okay, why not still? Gave them my address. They asked for my address again. And then they never sent anything. And that was about 4 months ago at the time of this recording. Now, the reason why I say that is some of you know about this story, and I posted about it in snippets here and there on social media, so you may think Necrozma is already going to get a bad review because of that, right? Well, no, that is not why I'm going to be giving this guy a bad review. Nope. Dragon Ball, Pokemon, Kaiju, and more. It's Steven's Toy Reviews. Hello there, collectors. Steven here once again with another Pokemon review for you. And today we are going to be taking a look at the Wicked Cool Toys Necrozma. This is one of their first attempts at creating a DX or Titan style figure, which Tomy is known for, or sadly was known for. And oh boy, yeah, you can kind of tell where they're at. So let's take a look to see whether or not it's worth adding into your collection. Absolutely positively, they got the look of Necrozma down, but how about those paint applications? Quality control? How did that fare up? Well, to be honest with you, they did a pretty good job, but they didn't. It looks really good, but it doesn't. It's kind of a mixed bag, and when we take a closer look, you're definitely going to see what I mean. Because first and foremost, it obviously does look like Necrozma. It almost looks like they took one of the game files, and they were able to create it in a plastic form, which is really cool. Not many companies can do that. However, when you take a look at some of the smaller details in the quality control and the types of plastic used, not necessarily the best. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at Necrozma now. Let's start off with the face, which, what looks to be the face anyway, and the eye area. From a distance, it don't look too bad, but when you get up close, they really didn't do that great of a job here. Now, don't get me wrong, I already compared these to Tomy, the overall legendary figures that Wicked Cool Toys is going to be making, and Tomy didn't do an amazing job, but here, the paint just looks very blotchy and kind of sloppy, to be honest with you. They made pre-sculpted areas as to where the paint is supposed to be, and they just didn't even bother getting the paint in there. Yeah, not that great. Doesn't look too good. Now, admittedly, it is a smaller area, but at the same time, it's not hard to paint inside of the square or the triangle. Yeah, it's not. Anyway, for the rest of the figure, there are a couple of different areas that are, well, they look like stress marks on the plastic, which isn't the best, but at the same time, it's not that big of a deal. The figure is only about $20, and if you can get it on sale for $15, more power to you. But again, not that huge big of a deal if you have a couple of quality control issues here or there. However, when we have some issues like overspray of white in other areas where there's not supposed to be white paint, that's where some issues begin. And even though my Necrozma doesn't have that much there, I have seen a couple that definitely do have it. Now, enough of the bad. Let's take a look at some of the good. Necrozma has two different pillars, I don't know, prisms, whatever they might be, coming off of its hands. And to be honest with you, the shading on it actually looks really, really cool. There's a nice gradient and a fade to black from that nice white. So thumbs up to them for that. Then on the back of Necrozma's head, there is that... Well, to be honest with you, there's going to be that Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon TCG logo there, and it actually looks pretty dang cool. Little goopy, but you know what? Again, it's about $20. Not a huge deal. Overall, Necrozma does look all right from a distance, but when you get up close and personal and you take a look at the finer craftsmanship of it, Necrozma is lacking. But then again, at the end of the day, I am definitely not comparing this to a $60 SH Figuarts Pokemon release. So there is that. All right, time for Necrozma's articulation. And to be honest with you, yeah. As you kind of saw, it's a little disappointing to say the least, and there are only a few points of articulation, and the stand doesn't really help too much either. So what do we have? Well, let's start with these little feetsy legs here. Okay, so they are on ball joints connected down here, and as you move them around a bit, depending on what position you have them in, I mean, you really got to push them in to get them to stay. They will pop out, okay, over time. Yeah. So just a couple of movements around, they will pop off. So, yeah, they're on ball joints. Then go about that far. Let's move it back into frame. Go up about that far, back. Yeah. So, they are a bit aggravating, to say the least, but yeah. So, ball jointed legs. Now, we have these Humongo Arms. Let's work them out, okay? They are on swivels, first and foremost, so let's go ahead and try these out. They're also on ratchets. So you can hear it clicking, right? Try it again. So let's hold them in place. Ready? Maybe try holding it. Nope. Okay. So you already saw one of the preview pictures. You can definitely get Necrozma's arms up, right? Well, if you hold them up right overhead, kind of works. A little bit behind. Oh, yep, the stand. It kind of works there. But what's interesting is it's not immediately apparent, but there is actually a hinge in the shoulder as well, which allows you to move the arms back and forward, which then the friction of the joints against Necrozma's body allows the arms to stay in place. Right? So there you go. That's how you get Necrozma's arms to stay out like that. But if you don't want him in that pose and you want him to just raise its arms. Yeah, okay, so that doesn't work. They could have maybe put a swivel joint in for the hands. Maybe they could have done that, but they didn't. All right, so that's it for the articulation. Now for the support stand. Naturally, let's just compare it to Tomi's Lunala, right? Here's that leg again. You would think, okay, you just go ahead and you put it on just like that, and you're good to go, right? Well, no. What you got to do, the way that it works is you have to push, and I mean jam Necrozma in there so it hooks, and then it stays, okay? But once you do that, okay, over time as you move it around, okay, it'll start to come off a little bit. So even that isn't 100% foolproof, even though that kind of locks in, right? So for articulation, Necrozma really isn't that great. I mean, don't get me wrong. You got big hands, you got little joint connections, and it's only $20, but I think they could have done a better job here. I really do. Now, to wrap up the review, here is a size comparison with Necrozma alongside some other figures you just might have, whether or not they're going to be other Nintendo figures or Pokemon figures that you just might have. So you folks who are looking to get a quote-unquote in-scale Necrozma, I know a lot of you folks are out there just like me, this is definitely going to be the one you're going to want to pick up. And considering it's widely available, even on Amazon, you might want to go ahead and pick this one up before aftermarket hits, because it just might. So, buy now, skip, or wait for that good old deal. Well, when it comes to quality control, Necrozma is lacking in some areas, mostly those eyes. And when it comes to articulation, we only have a couple of joints where they probably could have worked in a few more, and those joints are indeed loose. And that support stand, unless you really cram it in there, Necrozma is going to be falling off very often. Unfortunately, I have to say that this is a pretty disappointing release, and just based off of this alone, and from the fact that I've seen their Solgaleo and Lunala in stores, I'm going to have to say I'm going to pass on those and just be happy that I have a Necrozma that can at least stay on the shelf for now anyway. Definitely going to have to be one for those who need a Necrozma figure, or those who really want one, but for those of you who are just kind of dabbling from a casual perspective, so to speak, you may want to stay away and hope that they revisit this one in a few years, or if the license changes hands when they go for the remake of Sun and Moon, it just might happen in a decade or two that another one will come around. At the end of the day, though, for about $20, if you can get it on sale for maybe $15, it's all right. Well, folks, that's the end of this review. Thanks for watching, and be sure to follow me on social media to catch more behind-the-scenes shenanigans and updates. The end card should be popping up now with more hand-selected STR goodness for you to watch, so check out some of those videos. Be sure to check the description, too, to see where you can buy this figure or others like it, and some cool links, like the credits for this video, and other ways you can help out the channel. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next video.